Welcome back. We're going to solve another interesting problem here using time value of money in Excel. And this one has to do with capital budgeting. Given the cash flow below, what is the best estimate of the internal rate of return of the proposed project? The company's cost of capital is 11.25%. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is calculate the internal rate of return. So let's do that here where it says IRR. So we're going to do that using our functions, and we're going to open our internal rate of return function box, and then we're going to grab all these values for the 4 years cash flows, and that includes for right now, which is the initial outflow in year 0. And you can see that's going to give us a 10.5% internal rate of return. Okay, so that's the first step. So the next step is we want to find what our present value interest factor is. And I'm going to use the formula method here, or not the formula, the formula method. So we're going to put in an equal, and we're going to put in 1 plus our interest rate, which is 10.5%, and that's coming right here from internal rate of return. And then what we have to do is raise that to the 0 power. And actually, I'm going to make that minus 0 because we're discounting. We're going to do these at the end of the year. That's what EOY is. And so we want to know what they're worth today. So we have to discount. So if we put the minus in, that makes it discounting. And so we have 1 for right now. 34,768 that we invest is worth 34,768. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to multiply 34,768 times 1. That gives us our present value. $34,000 going out today is worth $34,768 going out today. Okay, so now what I have to do is basically just copy this and do it for the other 4 years. And now it's going to give us a factor. And you can see these are going down. And what that means is that as every year passes, these amounts are worth less because they're discounted more each year. Okay, so and then the same thing here. If I just copy this, because this multiplies cash flow times the present value interest factor, I can get the other 4 years here. So let's do that. Now notice if I total this all up, go back to sum, it comes out basically almost to 0. And why is that? Okay, well, the discount rate that we use is the same as the internal rate of return, and by definition the internal rate of return is a rate that's calculated by setting the initial investment equal to the cash flows that come after. So you have 4 years after the initial cash flow, and so the internal rate of return equates to 10.5%. So it should come out to 0. Now up here it says the company's cost of capital is 11.25%. Okay, so is this good? Probably not, because the internal rate of return is less than the cost of capital, and you would probably want to reject this project. So if we wanted to, well, let's take a step back. We could do what we did here another way, and we'll do it, and then we'll go to what I was going to say. Let's do it with net present value. Okay, we put in our rate, which in this case was 10.5%, and we grab our values, and that includes what we're investing today plus all the cash flows that are going to come in. And that's going to give us okay, that's going to give us basically the same thing here, and it's just off a little bit because of rounding, and so it comes out. What I was going to say earlier is that if we wanted to do this to figure out what the net present value is using this 11.25%, we could do that too. So let's do that. Instead of putting in 10.5%, we'll put 11.25%. Let's see what we get here. Okay, and we do the same thing we just did. We grab the original cash flows, and those are the cell addresses, and you can see the original cash flows are here. And that's going to give us a negative amount. And a negative amount, if you're doing present value, you would reject the project, because that means it's, you're not gonna get back enough to make anything. As a matter of fact, you probably stand to lose a little bit here. So that's it. We solved the problem, and we did two different types of capital budgeting. We did internal rate of return and net present value, and that shows you how internal rate of return works. So we'll see you in the next slide.